In response to a question regarding nutrition and diet, I want to move from food groups to the evolving quest for the best diet. Now, being a baby boomer, I was brought up believing the so-called diet heart hypothesis, put forward in 1953 by a physiologist by the name of Ancel Keys. His theory was simply that dietary fat resulted in a higher level of cholesterol in the blood and consequently an increased risk for heart disease. He concluded that eating a low-fat diet would prevent the ever-increasing problem of heart disease. For the last 50 years, this perception has been the gold standard, despite the fact that the hypothesis has never been proven to be true. One of the most famous studies looking at the relationship between diet and disease was called the Framingham study, which found that blood cholesterol, obesity, and cigarette smoking were risk factors for heart disease, but also found that the more saturated fat and cholesterol one ate, the lower the person's serum cholesterol. Now, this wasn't exactly what they expected to find, but it did seem to fit with the observation that certain cultures, like the Maasai in Kenya, the Eskimos, the Swiss, French, and Greeks, all live on a high-fat diet, but have a lower incidence of heart disease and longer life expectancy than we do. In particular, it's been observed that many cultures that live on or around the Mediterranean Sea enjoy excellent health and longevity with less heart disease. This so-called Mediterranean diet includes a regular consumption of fish, olive oil, fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, and healthy grains, as well as a glass or two of red wine. It's really not so much a diet as it is a lifestyle. The most convincing proof for the Mediterranean diet was recently reported in the New England Journal of Medicine. A randomized controlled trial was initiated to measure the diet's effects on the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and death compared to a low-fat diet. The only problem was that the control group couldn't stay on the low-fat diet, as is so often the case. Not only was the Mediterranean diet easy to stay on, but it lowered the incidence of heart attacks, strokes, and death by 30%. The key ingredients were olive oil and nuts, along with fish 3 times a week. The results were so impressive that this diet has been heralded as the new gold standard. So when we look at the most recent studies on diet and nutrition, here's what we find. Refined carbohydrates, including sugar, white flour, and white rice and pasta, are the main contributors of obesity and diabetes and should be avoided as much as possible. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, and nuts are all healthy. Fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and mackerel, are the best source of protein and should be consumed 3 times a week if possible. Up to 4 cups of coffee a day has been shown to be healthy, as has 1 or 2 glasses of red wine. And don't forget eggs, especially egg yolks. Studies have shown that eggs are healthy and 1 a day is fine. Dark chocolate is another item to add to the healthy list. Dark chocolate contains what are called flavonoids, which are antioxidants that protect against heart disease, lower blood pressure, and reduce the bad cholesterol called LDL. The best fats seem to be the unsaturated fats, like olive oil. Although, I have to admit that reviewing all the studies on saturated fat, I don't think it's as evil as we think. The good thing about fat is that it fills you up, so you don't have to eat as much carbohydrate to stay satisfied. So, remember, think Mediterranean, and you will enjoy a healthy and delicious diet. And remember, if you have questions concerning exercise, health, or life in general, the doctor is in. Just email me at housecalls@thedoctorsworkout.com, and I will try to add them to house calls. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay fit.